Had we not come out, we would have been lost to one another. Having survived the hardest edges of our early years, we'd likely seek refuge in others. In this way, we'd also be lost to ourselves. We began to find one another when we found ourselves. The book is called The Family Outing. It is the story of how every member in my family came out of the closet. 4 of us came out as queer. So I was the first, my dad followed, he came out as gay. My sister then came out as bisexual. My brother called us to tell us that he was transgender. And through that all, my mother came out as a survivor of a series of crimes in her community as a young person that were so heinous that honestly, it took me many years to unpack them. I always understood that I was gay. I understood it before I had a name for it or knew what it was. As a very young child, I felt there was this thing about me that made me different, but no one ever used that word. No one ever talked about that. I remember thinking, I think I'm gay. Where have I seen gay people? Gay people are men who are old and live in cities. I guess when I grow up, I'm gonna have to live with men who are old and live in cities, but maybe I can put it off for a really long time. When I got to college and I found my way out of the closet, it was both a fast and a slow process. As soon as I had role models around me and a context in which I could ask the questions, I did. And I figured it was finally time to tell my parents. And I said, you know, Mom, Dad, I think that maybe I could be, I'm not sure that, but maybe I'm gay. And I remember that my mom, she started crying. And then she said, you know, Jessi, I love you. No matter what you have to tell me, I love you. And my dad said nothing. And the next morning, I'm sitting in the kitchen at the breakfast bar, and Dad comes in and he says, you know, Jessi, I thought I was gay once too. And I looked up, and I never imagined these words coming out of my dad's mouth. And so I said, Dad, what did you do? And he said, oh, you know, you make choices in life. I married your mother. And then he left. And I remember sitting there in the kitchen thinking, holy crow, Dad's gay. For me as an adolescent, was the first time I had really embraced the idea that my parents might have much more complex relationships to their identity than I had ever thought. I think that for those of us who are queer, the word coming out has a very linear progression. To come out is to announce your queer identity. And there's even a mistake in the thought that coming out is a one-off event. Like, you've come out, you were this way and now you are that way. I think about the closet as something much more universal. We are all born into a set of expectations that we don't choose for ourselves. Mostly this happens out of love, honestly. Our parents imagine who we're gonna be. Our communities have ideas for who we'll be. And then there we are, and inevitably, we grow into our own person, and there are ways in which we don't fit in, and ways in which we may even perceive we are letting those communities down. And the process of coming out is the process of living into your authentic self rather than embracing the expectations of your community that don't fit you. Sometimes we come out in really big ways. For me, that's what it meant to come out as gay. My community did not show me or tell me that that was okay. And it took a lot of bravery and courage for me to say, no, this is who I am. But more realistically, I think we're always coming out in little ways, all of the time, when we live into the most authentic versions of ourselves. There will be people who disagree with me about this universality involved in coming out. I respect that, but I deeply disagree with it. I think that we as the queer community owe it to the rest of the world to share the freedom that comes with the term coming out. The thing that I most want for my children is that they feel that they're always living in a process of coming out, that that's what it means to be human. Coming out is not the one large event that maybe it felt like in my adolescence. Instead, it is an invitation always to go deeper in your process of figuring out who you truly are. We come out, and then we learn something new about ourselves, and then we come out again.